thing I bet John and his youth group pastor had in common with Walmart, they both had little boys' underwear half off. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Before I get started, Stephen, are you out here? Or are you hiding in the basement? Where are you at? Stand, come a little closer. Today is Stephen's 40th birthday. So I'm not going to sing. Trust me, you all did not come here to hear that. But if we could all give Stephen a happy birthday, that would be awesome. So. And you will soon find out he is the oddest fellow in this building. Before I get started, I like to say something interesting about myself to the crowd, that way you can get to know me a little bit better. So I like to give a little bit of thought. And tonight I'd like to tell you that my asshole is greasy. Now you may be wondering why I had a prostate exam before I came here today. Now I haven't been able to pee for weeks. And for whatever reason, I think the doctors just like to fuck with this. They got a rule. If you can't pee, it's either a swollen prostate or a bladder infection. But they're never going to rule out the bladder infection first. You just can't get a round of antibiotics. They want to put their finger in your asshole. So I finally went to the doctor today, and I went in there, and I said, "Doc, now I got a great doc. Great doctor, nice guy, but he's a 6'4" black man, got hands like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I know he played basketball in his younger days because all of his fingers are just a little bent. They're not quite straight. And I gave it some thought, and I wasn't sure. But I was pretty sure that my asshole was not going to accommodate that hook. So I said, "Doc, I can't pee." He said, "Sam, I'm going to check your prostate." I said, "I know." He said, "Take your pants off." I said, "Where do you want me to put them?" He said, "Put them over there next to mine." So I took my pants off. He said, "Bend over the gurney." So I bent over the gurney. I put this chair up here too because I don't want to bend over that long without something supporting me. So I bent over, and I could hear him in the background putting on his gloves, real seductively, popping them. I said, "Why 3? And then I heard him with the lube. And I'm thinking, he's using too much. But then I said, no, use that whole goddamn tube if you have to. So he gets up behind me. He says, "All right, I'm getting ready to start." And I appreciate him announcing the rape. Most rape victims don't get that courtesy. And so he said, "Now this ain't going to take much more than a minute," which is the same thing I tell my wife when I'm back there. And all of a sudden I felt his left hand on my left hip. And I'm thinking, I better not feel your right hand on my right hip or I'll know what the hell you were looping up back there. So he starts putting his finger in my ass. So I said, "Slow down." He said, "Does it hurt?" I said, "Yes, it hurts." He said, "More than normal?" I said, "Gee, Doc, I don't know. I don't normally have your finger in my asshole." So he said, "Well, your prostate's fine. It's a bladder infection. You can pick up your prescription on the way out." Now I'm standing there. I got no pants on. I'm over 50 years old now. My balls hang down way lower than my dick does. Looks like a homeless man sitting on 2 duffel bags. So I didn't know what to say to the man, so I pulled my pants on, got my prescription, and I left. But I didn't come here to tell you that. My wife, God bless her, she's right here. Wave your hand a little bit, hon, because I'm going to talk about her a lot tonight. I can always count on my wife that whenever I'm naked in a brightly lit room, she can give me her honest opinion of what she's looking at. So a couple of nights ago, I came out of the shower and she came in and she said, "Jesus Christ, will you please do something about that?" Now, I got more than one thing I need to do something about. So I asked her, I said, "Can you please be specific?" She said, "All that hair down down there. My God, trim it or something. Now, I've never heard of such a thing in my life. There's this thing, manscaping. Has anybody ever heard of that? Well, I never heard of it. I said, I don't know, hon. I said, what would I use? She said, I'll pick you up something. So the next morning, I woke up and I had a little morning wood. And so I walked into bed and I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God. Looks like Pinocchio joined the Taliban. So I started thinking, I said, you know what, that could be some real pluses to this, some real pluses. First of all, maybe my dick would look a little bit bigger, right? Things look bigger against a white backdrop. Maybe she would suck my dick a little more often. Maybe, without all that hair to navigate through. It's gotta be hard to breathe down there. Well, it turns out no. No, it had no effect whatsoever. So I got in the shower, she got me these trimmers. And my goddamn stomach was blocking my view, I couldn't see. I said, maybe I can use my phone as the camera. And I decided against that because I'd probably accidentally post that shit to Facebook. So I started shaving blindly, and I looked down, and there was a few pounds of pubic hair in the shower. Looked like burnt tinsel. I noticed a little bit of blood running down my leg. I'm pretty sure I clipped one of my nuts. So I stopped, and she took the clippers from me, and I think she returned them, so I'll find out what Walmart she bought them from. You don't want to buy them there. They got some of my DNA on it. Anyway, I was driving to the show today, and I just had a talk show on. They were talking about IVF. And it pissed me off a little bit because, you know, evidently some people have a problem with IVF because, I don't know, they get all uppity when you take God out of the equation. Which is complete bullshit, by the way, because my daughter, me and my wife had to go through IVF, and I thank God for her every day. But for those of you who haven't done that, you know, they say the best part of having a child is making the baby. That ain't true if you've been through IVF. My wife, God bless her, she had the privilege of every day, she had to get daily injections in her ass, about a 4-foot needle that I was the lucky one that had to give her the ass. The doctor was nice enough to draw a bullseye on her ass. I shit you not. He drew a bullseye, a big circle and a dot. So I know right where to put that needle. And, you know, it took a minute, so I figured, let me talk to her. I said, you know, hon, I said, this is not a bad idea. I said, maybe we could draw a bullseye somewhere else so that I don't miss. Well, the next morning I got up and she had drawn a bullseye on the toilet seat.
It didn't help.
It did not. It did not. It was only, well, I knew where not to pee. I knew where not to pee. So she may not agree, but I had the hard part through the whole process. She came up and she said, here, call this number and make an appointment. So I said, for what? She said, well, you got to go in there and do your thing. Now, how many of you ever here have made an appointment to masturbate? It's strange, right? When the woman answers the phone, she says, what's the reason for your visit? I said, I got to leave a sample. She said, what kind of sample? I said, come. So I actually put that in my calendar. Y'all can check your calendar on your phone, see if you see masturbate anywhere in there. And I do it often enough, but I've never put it in my phone. So I show up there, and I walk up, and I got my head down. I don't want to make eye contact with anybody. So they're nice and discreet enough. They lead me to the room, and she opens the door. And I look in, and there's 2 chairs sitting in there, and an old television from like the 1960s. Looked like Archie Bunker's living room. And I never did figure out why the second chair was in there. I said, maybe if I had better insurance, somebody would be sitting in that other chair. So the woman said, you have 15 minutes. Somebody else is coming in behind you. When you're done, leave your sample on the sink. And good luck. So thank you. So she shut the door. And I looked around, and there was a wicker basket with some VHS tapes in it. I just had to pick one because I don't know, for whatever reason, there was a yellow stain covering all the titles. So I popped it in the VCR, and the credits were rolling. Anybody here know that porno had credits? I'd never made it that far before, so now I gotta sit there and rewind the goddamn thing. I'm sitting there, and when it's done, I press play, and that didn't work because the woman's bush was huge. And she had so much hair, I thought buckwheat was eating her out. So that didn't work. I couldn't do anything for that. So then they had a pile of magazines, like 30-year-old Playboy magazines, and I couldn't get to the good spot because all the pages were stuck together for some reason. So finally, it was hard. I couldn't get an erection. It was hot in there. I was sweating like a whore in church. I was sitting on this seat protector. But finally, I got done. And I did my business in the cup. I took it to the bathroom. I said goodbye to half my daughter. And then a few weeks later, my daughter was conceived. How many of you can say that you were at work when your child was conceived? But that's where I was that day. But she's 13 years old today, and beautiful young lady, so thank you. I've been on a bit of a weight loss journey. You can see I still got a ways to go. But I've lost 40 pounds so far in the past 10 months, 40 pounds. Thank you. Yeah, for real. That's Rudy. He's one of the few black guys in the building. He's a friend of mine. He's the chocolate chip in the bowl of marshmallows.
Love you too.
I love you, Rudy. So 40 pounds. And for me, whenever I do something that's that drastic, that life-altering, something needs to happen to spark that change. And little things come up along the way that make you think about losing weight, like tying my shoe, race against death. Either I get that knot tied or pass out. One of the two. Or you go out to eat, and they're nice enough to put you in a booth, and you come home with that red line on your stomach. But the final straw was for me. A couple years ago, we took a trip to Disney World. And Disney's a great place for fat people, by the way. The Epcot Death March, you just keep Gold Bond on a holster because it's in shape. Terrible. But they had opened up a new ride down there. It's based off of Pandora. They had a ride where you ride this Banshee. So I waited in line for 2.5 hours. It wasn't that crowded that day. And so it's one of them things where you look at the screen and it feels like you're moving, but you're not actually moving, but they invert you. So they got to clamp you in. There's a restraint that comes down in the front, and a restraint that comes down in the back. So I walk into the room and I sit down and I pull the front restraint down and I locked it. And I saw the attendant, a 14-year-old boy. He was coming down the road, pushing the back one in. I started getting nervous. So I scoot up a little bit. Now he's right behind me. Sir, could you scoot up a little bit? Okay. So I scooted up. Suck it in. Okay. I don't know how that helps because the fat doesn't go anywhere when you suck it in. But I sucked it in. I don't know how I was going to last through that ride without being able to breathe, but I sucked it in. And nothing. Now I notice there's 40 people, all of them staring at me. So now God bless this kid. He wanted me to ride this ride bad. So there's a wall behind him. He puts his ass up against the wall, putting both of his feet on the restraint, and he's pushing. Suck it in, sir. Suck it in. And finally I said, stop it. Stop it. God damn it. Just let me off this ride. And so I got up, and I got to do this walk of shame. I felt like a 10-cent whore. So I'm walking across. Some people are apologizing to me. I'm sorry. So I walk out. Now there's a girl that works there. Her job is to apologize to the fat people. That's her job. She said, sir, I'm so sorry. She said, can I scan your magic band? I said, for what? Well, we'd like to give you complimentary tickets to the buffet. said, I'm all right. I'm good. So they have a chair there for fat people. It's 3 times wider than this chair. So she said, you have family on the ride? I said, yes, I have family on the ride. I'm sure they can't wait to speak to me. So she had me sit there. Now normally those rides are over. It feels like a second. But it felt like I was sitting there for 2.5 hours. And while I'm sitting there, another fat guy came out on the other side of the ride. Now he's a pro at it. He actually had a sandwich in his hand when he came out. He was laughing. He gave me a fist bump. You too fat for the ride too, buddy? I said, yeah. He said, that's 3rd time happened to me today. At first I didn't say nothing, but then I said, you mind telling me what the other 2 rides were, please? So my family came out, my daughter came over and she said, Daddy, I'm so sorry. I said, get away from me. So I told my wife on the way out, I said, I've never been so embarrassed in my life. I said, that's it, I'm gonna lose weight. But how to lose weight? I don't know. I know how to gain weight, I'm good at that. I've been doing it my whole life. So I said, well, let me try a couple things. First I tried salad. That didn't work. Turns out I like salad dressing way more than I like salad. The lettuce looked like a dead body floating in a river. I tried a nutritionist. Called her up. She said, okay, let's talk about what you had for breakfast today. She's real cheerful. I said, I don't want to talk about today. I said, it's a fresh start. I don't want to talk about today. She said, please. I said, no. She insisted. So I said, all right. I said, for breakfast, I had donuts. She said, all right. Well, I mean, wherever you were, they were out. I said, no, I drove to get them. All right. She said, I mean, they were on the way. Wherever you were going, they were on the way. I said, no. I said, I was late. They made me late. He said, that didn't work. Tomorrow I said, let's join the gym. She exercises every day. She gets any skinnier, she's going to slip through her asshole and hang herself. She said, please, let's just go. Once you go, you'll get addicted. I said, I don't think so. I got a lot of fucking willpower. I can quit that shit cold turkey. And then eat the cold turkey. So she said, let's go. Well, her first mistake was, I got on this elliptical machine, and there was a rowing machine right next to it. So her head lined up perfectly with my asshole. And turns out when I exercise, I get gassy. I don't know what it is, maybe just nerve stress. But every time I push down on that pedal, right in the face. She said, that's it. That's enough. So we're going to do something else in this gym. I said, I don't want to do another thing in this gym. There's too many ups in this gym. I don't do ups. I do downs. I can sit down. I can lay down. I'll even wolf a sandwich down. So I stayed on the elliptical machine. She kept coming and checking on me. She said, you can really feel that fat burning off you, can't you? I said, yeah. I hope it's a controlled burn, though, because this baby goes off all at once. A mushroom cloud above this gym. Anyway, I still, through all that, managed to lose 40 pounds. So, I appreciate the applause, but none of you actually give an actual fuck. But that's all for my time today. Thank you much for laughing. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.